Something was meant to be a major diplomatic win for Keir Starmer, but within hours it turned into a full-blown political nightmare as the details of a multi-billion-pound deal were quietly revealed. Outrage erupted. Live on-air accusations of recklessness, betrayal and national humiliation are now flooding in. What did Starr just sign, and why are his critics calling it one of the worst deals in modern British history? Let's break it down, but first hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Keir Starmer has just been dealt a crushing political blow, and it couldn't have come at a worse time. On the heels of what was meant to be a triumphant foreign policy announcement, the Labour leader is now facing growing backlash from all directions after the public learned the staggering financial and strategic cost of his newly signed Chagos Islands deal. And it's not just the usual suspects throwing criticism. Members of the opposition are branding this as one of the worst diplomatic blunders in recent memory. The fury was ignited by Shadow Policing Minister Matt Vickers, who appeared on GB News to launch a blistering takedown of Starr's £10 billion agreement with Mauritius over the future of the British-controlled Diego Garcia military base. Vickers pulled no punches, calling the deal insane, a disaster and a reckless giveaway of Britain's strategic and financial interests. To understand the outrage, we need to look at what Starmer announced on Thursday. The Prime Minister confirmed that Britain had reached a historic agreement with Mauritius, essentially surrendering the UK's long-disputed claim to the Chagos archipelago while agreeing to lease back the critical Diego Garcia military base at an estimated cost of £101 million a year for the next 99 years. That's over £10 billion, a figure Vickers says is even higher than previous government estimates and is the nearest guesstimate that's been come to. Starmer tried to frame the deal as a strategic masterstroke. In his own words, he claimed the agreement was necessary to prevent foreign adversaries, particularly China, from exploiting a legal loophole and establishing bases on the outer islands. He said, "If we did not agree this deal, the legal situation would mean that we would not be able to prevent China or any other nation setting up their own bases." But Vickers wasn't having any of it. He called the justification nonsense, arguing that the UK had been pressured into a deal that makes no sense financially or geopolitically. "We're literally giving something back and then paying to lease a military base," he said. "Imagine what you could be doing with that money." The anger didn't stop there when GB News hosts pressed Vickers about the Conservative Party's prior role in the chaos negotiations. He pushed back hard. "We would never have gone in with this." He insisted it was just not a thing. "It's a bad deal for Britain. When Labour negotiates, Britain loses." That line, "when Labour negotiates, Britain loses," became the repeated refrain of the segment, with Vickers drawing a direct line between this deal and other perceived Labour failings. He cited the ongoing EU negotiations, claiming they're ushering in more Brussels influence over UK law and farming. He referenced the India trade deal, which he claims unfairly burdens British workers while giving tax breaks to Indian counterparts. In other words, Vickers is painting a picture of a Labour government out of its depth on the world stage, offering up British sovereignty and taxpayer money to score short-term diplomatic wins that come at a long-term cost. Even when the host pointed out that US Secretary of State Marco Rubio had praised the deal for ensuring long-term stability at Diego Garcia, Vickers remained defiant. "There might be lots of views from different parts of the world," he said, "but this deal is not in Britain's interests at all. It's not in the interests of taxpayers who are going to be forking up for this ridiculous sum of money." And Vickers didn't stop there. He questioned the very premise of the deal, challenging Starmer's defence and suggesting it echoed the same logic used to justify the Labour leader's increasingly controversial EU policy. He probably would have said the same thing about his new relationship with the EU. "We're handing more control back to the European Court of Justice," he warned. "We're seeing more British taxpayers' money going." Then came the knockout line, "No court anywhere has told him that he needs to hand over £101 million every year for the next 99 years. No one has told him that he should be fighting for Britain's interests. This is not just routine political sparring. This is a direct and aggressive challenge to Karma's leadership and judgment at a time when he is attempting to project competence and strength on the international stage." The fact that the backlash is being amplified on national television by senior members of the opposition just as Labour attempts to reassert itself as a government in waiting could not be more damaging. Starmer wanted this deal to signal Britain's global clout. Instead, it's becoming a symbol of domestic embarrassment, a decision that may haunt his leadership for years to come. And with growing criticism from the right and rising suspicion from voters wary of Labour's approach to sovereignty spending and foreign Policy. This insane deal could be the start of much bigger trouble for number 10. In other news, former prisons minister and Whitcomb has criticized government plans to chemically castrate pedophiles, warning the policy will simply create an awful lot of work for an awful lot of lawyers. Whitcomb expressed serious concerns about the proposal to forcibly administer medication to sex offenders. Whitcomb claimed the policy is primarily motivated by prison overcrowding rather than genuine justice reform. She said, "What is driving this plan? It isn't a feeling that we ought to look at the justice system and review it. It isn't that at all. It isn't that we think the victim's getting a bad deal and we ought to review that number. It's that there aren't enough prison places, and that is what is driving all of this." She expressed particular concern about sentence reductions being implemented solely to free up prison capacity, and when a sentence comes down to a third, and it could be quite a serious offense, that is solely in order to free up prison space. Now that is completely the wrong way round, Whitcomb said, drawing on her own experience as prisons minister. Whitcomb outlined alternative approaches she implemented to address overcrowding. "I had exactly this problem. The prison population in 1993 was 40,000. I came into the prisons job in 1995. It went up in my time to 60,000. I didn't let them all out," she said. Whitcomb warned that chemical castration is not a guaranteed solution for preventing re-offending. "It's not guaranteed to work, that's the first thing. So you could actually release a pedophile into the community and say, it's all right, he's been castrated, it doesn't work. That is the first danger," she explained. She also raised serious concerns about the legal implications of forced medication. "The second danger is simply what you're going to do is you're going to create an awful lot of work for an awful lot of lawyers," Whitcomb said. She directly criticized the Prime Minister's approach to criminal justice reform, the idea that the state can forcibly make you go through a process of taking drugs and can actually make you do that, strap you down if you resist, or whatever it is they're going to do. "Frankly, I think Stam has gone mad, and I've thought that for a long time." Whitcomb offered an alternative vision focused on rehabilitation rather than chemical intervention. "It's driven by the need to free up prison spaces. It's not driven by what is going to make things safer. The big deal for me has always been what you do with people when you've got them in prison. That is the crucial thing," she said. She advocated for comprehensive rehabilitation programs within prisons. "If you don't have proper training, proper workshops, proper education, offending behavior courses like temper management, for example, if you don't have those things, then the chances are that the chap who leaves the prison gate is as bad and maybe possibly worse than the chap who entered the prison gates." Whitcomb rejected the notion that rehabilitation is a liberal approach. "When people say to me, 'Oh, it's very liberal to talk about rehabilitation,' I say, no it ain't. It's actually a crucial tool of public protection. And when will anybody wake up to that?" What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you have not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.